All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Amish Rebel. Today we have a very special guest on. He came all the way here from Minnesota. He volunteered his time to come speak to you guys. And so we're so grateful to have Eddie Schwarzentrooper with us today. He told me he's got an announcement to make. For some of you, you may not know. I didn't know, I guess. But he can tell you a little bit later on. We'll get into it. But he is very popular on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and all these happy places that people hang out at. So we're just grateful that he is coming on the Amish Rebel podcast today and sharing his story. And hopefully, if you don't know, if you haven't seen any of his stuff, you can go check out his work on TikTok, Eddie Schwarzentrooper. And that's how people find you, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it. It's fun to come back to Texas. Like I told you on the way over here, I haven't been here in probably 4 years.
Okay.
So it's kind of a nice getaway for me. But, man, this area you brought me into, I wasn't sure we were going to make it out.
Yeah.
The ghetto of Texas. No, but it's great. It's a nice area. I love this area, so.
That's good. Yeah,
thanks for inviting me down here. It's really nice, especially, knowing you from a long time ago.
Yeah.
It feels like a long time ago. It's not really a long time ago.
Yeah.
But back in our Amish days. I didn't say I knew you, but I knew of you. So, and I remember when you did the bad deed and broke away from the Amish.
I was a rebel before I left the Amish, but I became an official rebel after.
That's right.
I left.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fun because I hadn't seen you in I don't know how long until I guess it was probably 2 years ago. I was back home.
Where did you? I didn't think I seen you since you left the Amish. But.
So we met at the Brandy's. I don't know if you remember. Not Brandy's, but Brandy's here in Texas. We met at the local. Restaurant.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. And yeah, I talked to you briefly there for 30 minutes or so.
Yeah. It was crazy because. I do remember you and your brother, like when I was still Amish. There's just enough of an age gap. I'm 35, you're
27.
27, so there's enough of an age gap. We grew up in the same community, but didn't really...
Yeah, well, we were still like school kids when you were still Amish, but you were acting out to where we thought he's a bad guy. And so it was kind of like we seen you as... one of the, we would have called them big boys that is almost like dangerous or,
Yeah.
doing bad. So like what I remember the most is seeing you in a bright orange sweatshirt. And of course we weren't supposed to wear sweatshirts, so we just thought this is getting out of control and Amish people are starting to wear sweatshirts and you were still wearing your straw hat at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think within the context of the Amish, like defining bad as someone that breaks the rules,
right?
Like someone that's not following all the rules, and a kid being within the youth. I was definitely
right.
I mean,
you were breaking. You had your hat like. I don't know, how do you call that in English? Like when you had it looking kind of like a little bit like a cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah.
You had like really short hair, which was all like, no.
Yeah, those were, I see some pictures now from me back then, and it's crazy. Like, It takes me right back there, but, So, I guess talking about when you're a kid, that's how the older kids are looked at. I mean, the kids that are, like, if you're a little kid.
Yeah.
And you're.
Yeah, if you're a little kid, like when I was in first grade, the 7th and 8th graders were scary. I mean, they were And they could kind of push you around and scare you on the playground, stuff like that. And then when we started to go, well, we always went to church, but we always kept our distance from the older guys. I remember people just, like, they'll go out, you go out in the barn, the men stay in the barn when it's not at the time of service. And actually, one time my older brother, took one of our neighbor kids who we weren't the friendliest, but I don't know why he had a kind of something out for him. He like pulled his pants down and everybody was there, it's just, so we're always scared that we'll end up in that situation, one of the boys that we can't defend ourselves against.
Yeah, that's crazy that you bring that up, because that's something that's very common amongst the amongst the Amish, the Schwarzentrooper Amish for the most part, from what I know anyway. Like, it's almost like when you're talking about like pulling their pants down, it's just to scare the kid. I mean, it's just to humiliate him.
Yeah, totally humiliated him. And he held him up like by his legs, and
that's crazy.
It's just totally humiliated him. But I remember there was always like two sides when I was a little kid. A group of us kids stuck together, another group stuck together, and we were at each other. And our group of kids, we always felt like we were kind of the underdogs. A lot of us were, our parents would encourage, or almost pretty much force us to go barefoot to church on Sundays. Well, a bunch of these other groups, kids, they were wearing shoes, so that's the first, like, they can come and whack you in the butt with a shoe that you can't do with a bare foot without hurting your toes. And I remember we're like throwing big stones around and on each other's foot. That was because we weren't wearing shoes, so they try and throw them on our foot. And one time I don't remember who the kid was, but threw the stone over a bucky on the other side. So it's literally like one group on this side of the bucky, another group on this side. We're like fighting. And it was a pretty big stone. It hit somebody's head. He dropped down, but it just knocked him down for a little bit. He got back up, but it kind of scared everybody, so fighting stuff.
Yeah.
But it's, the Amish community is kind of like everywhere else, it's not like everybody else, but there's parts of it that, kids fight, and they fight viciously in a lot of communities, so.
Yeah, there's not as, I guess there's some violence, not like murdering kind of violence.
No, but there's not that
but there's not a, how could you say? You don't really, like, when you're a kid and there's older kids around, like, you're not, like, hanging out with them thinking, like, you're cool or protected or anything like
or
that.
They'll teach you something. They're gonna teach you something to either humiliate yourself or, that's usually the case, so.
Yeah, so I that's an interesting conversation to have, because I kind of forget a lot of that stuff being out for so long, but those are things that affect kids for the rest of their lives, really, because those are like really intense moments for a kid. It's almost tradition within the Amish community to do some of those things.
Right. So
as just an entertaining thing to do. But it's not fun for the kid that's on the receiving end, or the kids that are on the receiving end of it. Right.
So, but I feel like kids take it differently. Some kids it'll almost make them stronger, and then some kids it just completely shatters them. Because, in my opinion, like, a little bit of bullying is okay, because they have to learn how to stand up or how to kind of defend themselves, but not to the point where it's like hurting someone, or where it's being destructive to the kid. But if a kid never has any challenges, then, you know, he'll probably go out of his parents' house thinking he's gonna have a nice, easy life. And if you grow up in the Amish and then leave, there's a lot of stuff to figure out. And, you know, if you've been humiliated a lot in the Amish, that I feel like, because like when you leave, there's a lot of first things that are very humiliating that you don't know. And so you do a lot of really dumb stuff. And people out here, like, for myself, people out here did just as much of that, I feel like, as they did in the Amish. And that was partly because of probably some of the crowd that I got into. So I got in with probably not the best group of people.
Okay.
Some of them anyways, right? They were in the Amish, but they, you know, I figured out how to, when I left, I just wanted to party. I wanted to really party it out. Because, you know, I had the mindset I'm going to hell anyway, so I want to experience everything. So a lot of people took it, you know, and it was fun for them, right? I figured, you know, I could get into, there used to be a Dualies in Rochester. I don't know if you remember the place or if you...
No, I'm not
so
familiar.
it's a club.
Okay.
Up there, and, I had, you know, I'd go there from time to time, and I had some people at the back door who helped me in, and somebody I worked with briefly had helped me in, and then I got a contact there. They would help me come in the back door because I was 21. And so then I kind of started making some friends there every week.
Okay. And,
you know, they do the same stuff, right? Because I'm so, I'm kind of clueless in a lot of stuff, so they pick up on it right away. And they just get me to ask the dumbest questions.
I kind of...
it really humiliated me, you know, because I'm in there, I'm trying to be cool like them, I'm trying to talk to the girls as well, and they know, you know, hey, go ask that girl that,
So, taking advantage of the fact that you're not...
that I'm a little bit oblivious to a lot of the terms that are used out here, or...
Oh, yeah.
It's fun for them.
Yeah.
I guess.
Entertaining.
Yeah, it's extremely entertaining.
And I think that's an interesting thing that you bring up, because there's like two sides to entertainment. I say like the funniest people are the people that don't hurt others and that can be entertaining without being extremely using language that kids can't listen to. Or shouldn't be listening to. So like a comedian that can have clean comedy that the entire family could sit down and listen to this comedian, but he's also not hurting someone else. I mean, he may be bringing stories or things like that.
That's really an art. Somebody that can be a comedian and do really well with like using family-friendly language. That is one of the most difficult things to do, I think.
It is,
because it's so much easier to use profanity in comedy, right? So I always I like if I find someone, because I think it takes a lot of talent to be able to hold an audience and do clean comedy.
Yeah, I think that's something that you do really well. From the stuff that I've listened to, like I think your stuff is really funny. Like, and the way that you put it out there, I think honestly, it's really funny to me. I think for people that are not Amish, like some of it goes right over their head.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand. They don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think it's hilarious, like some of the stuff you put out there. I'm like, this is good.
Yeah. Yeah, you can but also like out here, I feel like the Amish have in our household, we had a looser line than is out here. Like my wife I'll use language that's that's profanity. I'm like, I don't think so. Because we used it all the time at home and mom and dad didn't care. But, I mean, there was lions, but it was, I don't know, maybe they just read it different or, I don't know. But I know we use language that now if I use it, my wife is like, I hope you don't use that language around the kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you have to think about because like once you have kids, whatever is in your life that you thought is okay, like your kids will mirror and you'll begin to realize that I'm not okay with that because everything that you're questioning right now, your kids will reflect back to you in a mirror. And so it either comes across as I'm okay with that or I really don't like that you do that thing.
So I'm okay with myself doing it, but I don't want to see my kids do it.
Yeah, it's a different level. I'm just telling you, like. Yeah.
No, I can see that.
We can get into that. You're about to be a dad, right? That's the thing that I was surprised by.
Yeah, I didn't know you don't know, but coming up in August, which is.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you. You're gonna be.
I'm super excited. So I know. So my wife was like, do I want to find out what it is? Do I not want to find out what it is? And finally she decided she doesn't. She doesn't want to know. She wants it to be a surprise.
Wow.
But I didn't. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. I want to know what it is so bad. Yeah. So she said, well, you can find out. Just don't tell me. So I haven't told her, and I haven't told anybody else, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, no kidding.
I realized afterwards, because when you talk about it, it's easy to slip out.
Her or him? Or are you gonna make the announcement?
No.
We'll bleep it out. Come on.
No, not gonna do it.
Your wife might listen to this and find out. Then the whole world will know.
I promise I won't slip up.
Yeah. I'll see if I can.
I come from the Amish. I'm good at keeping secrets. So.
That's good. Yeah, that
they do keep secrets really
well. Oh, yeah, they do. Yep. You tell them, really, if you, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how far this goes, but if you tell them to keep a secret, and some of them keep it super well, but then there's others that it's like, dude, like, it gets spread around the community like wildfire.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people use it too for, like, they give them a secret, and then, or they find out something about them.
That's right.
They find out something about them, and then, it's really bad, maybe, and whoever finds out about him, then he quickly, hey, I remember this about you, and you never did your thing in church for it, so you better hold that, otherwise I'm coming out against you as well. That happened a lot.
Man, politics.
Yeah.
The Amish, who knew?
Yeah, it's like...
That sounds like...
Pretty much blackmailing.
Yeah.
Blackmailing people, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So, when you were a kid, like, what are, I know you can start, or you can go back as far as you like, but when you were a kid, what was it like in your house?
It was a lot of fun in our house. I mean, we had a pretty lively household, 10 kids, 7 boys, 3 girls. And so, it was a lot going on. Or a lot of, there was never a dull moment at the house.
Yeah.
So,
now there were multiple sets of twins, right?
Yeah, so it's a set of twins that's older than me and my twin brother, and then me and my twin brother, which my mom didn't know she was having twins when she was having the older ones. And then when me and my twin brother were born, I was born, and then they found another pile on the floor, and that ended up being him.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't that bad. I was gonna say they're cleaning up the aftermath from me being born.
That's horrible.
The reason I can say that is he was still Amish and he came to my wedding, and so he did a speech.
Oh,
He was right on the verge of leaving the Amish, and he said that. It's probably, I wish somebody would have recorded it. It's probably the best wedding speech I ever heard. That's what everybody at the wedding said as well. He wrote it really nice and he delivered it really nice. So that's what he said. That's what he opened up with on August 10th, 1996. You know, Abe and Lydia Schwarzentuber had a baby boy. His name was Eli. They were cleaning up the aftermath. And here they found his brother Eddie, you know. This is going sideways first.
He came right in and stole the show.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
What a great line.
He could probably be a comic and do clean comedy because it was good.
That was really good. Wow. I would have never thought about that coming up. I mean, like, it's a great joke if you're just, like, telling that to your brother. I mean, I'm sure you don't have that kind of relationship with your brother where you're doing that to try to get him.
No, obviously. I get along with my brother. So it's not like he's trying to get at me for something, you know. We're pretty, our family is pretty, what do you call it? I don't know how to call it in English, like,
sarcastic?
Yeah, pretty, I mean, you don't worry about hurting somebody else's feelings in the family. You know?
Yeah, that's good. So you guys are pretty open and honest with each other, and
we told each other about their shortcomings.
Which in some way you were touching on that a little bit earlier about like that makes a kid stronger, which I agree with you. It does. I think there's a healthy way and there's an unhealthy way to do that. If you're a kid and you're getting bullied, that's an unhealthy way to maybe become someone.
Right.
But if you're a kid and you're being raised by your parents and you're being pressured to do, like, to perform, like you're being pressured to not be a wimp, so to speak. Like I feel like that's a healthier route or a healthier approach. So let's say you're a kid and like I'm 10 years old and I'm raised by two loving parents, and I don't want to grow up to be a wimp. I don't want to grow up to be a pushover. I mean, how would you go about doing? How are you going to raise your son now?
Yeah, I haven't studied too much on that. I'm really excited for the baby to get here, but I'm also kind of nervous.
Yeah.
It's a whole new kind of area of life. But
well, you're gonna be an awesome dad, but those are things that you have to think about because you don't want to just by default do things that you were raised with.
Right.
If you're being intentional, can you still teach your son the same lessons that you were taught, just in a healthy way?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
There is, because I experienced a lot of that bullying, and I don't feel like it was good for me at all.
Uh-huh.
Even though it made me the man that I am today, part of it, and I wouldn't trade that, but I don't think that's a great approach for me to teach my son.
Right. So you don't, I don't know how to put it. I mean, I kind of agree with you. Like, bullying is not good. But at the same time, like, if a kid never has to, defend himself when he's a kid, at some point when he's older, he's gonna have to Because people are going to push you all over and walk right over you.
No, I agree.
If you don't figure out some way to defend yourself. But.
Yeah. So that's a great point. I love the fact that you think about that, because that the opposite of that is, well, I got bullied. I'm not gonna allow any of that to happen to my son. So therefore, he's grown up to be a whiny,
right.
baby.
I would tell my son we don't bully, but we also don't get bullied.
Yeah.
So you have to stand up.
Yeah.
Like you don't go bully people, but if people bully you, you don't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
But
going about it, how do you not get bullied? That's a whole different scenario. But if you don't accept it, people don't bully you. I mean, if you accept it, it becomes a trend, and even for yourself or for myself, if we accept getting pushed around, it's dangerous even still now, because if we accept it once, they'll come again.
Yeah.
Not in like fighting at church, right? But in like if somebody gets you, kind of pushes you around, makes you feel guilty for like a price you're charging for something, or for something that is really not your fault, has nothing to do with you, but you cave and you do it for way cheap just to be nice to them. Well, that's not the end of it. They're coming back, and they're coming back. Now their friends are coming, and it just, you become a pushover.
Yeah. You can't allow that to continue. You gotta set.
And in the Amish, that happens over and over, like with the people that are constantly in church, down on their knees, apologizing for what they did. Like the church district I grew up in, like my dad was constantly in trouble for something. But there's 5 other old men, and whether it's a preacher or not, their kids are doing the same thing, but my dad was always a people pleaser, and it kind of like just let him push him around. Okay, I'll take the hit. We'll do 2 weeks in the shunning, and then we'll be back. And there's other people but I feel like he became a target because he was an easy target.
Yeah. And they felt like they were punishing someone, so less eyes on somebody else or whatever the case may be.
Or there's arteries staying in the church because someone's getting punished, Nobody's getting punished. The church is, moving too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're definitely, I would agree with you coming from a standpoint of not getting pushed around. Like you should never go allow someone to push you around or go against the things that you believe in, right? So if you say that you believe in, and that's what I teach my sons, even if I don't agree with it, if you believe in that thing, then you better be willing to stand for it.
Right, and have a reason for believing in it, right? You can't
absolutely.
Just blindly believe in it and not have anything to back it up.
Yeah, you gotta have a good reason why you would believe in it.
I think that's part of why so many people leave the Amish. They don't really have a reason for why they believe in what they believe, other than our parents did it this way. Well, I don't really care if my grandparents did it this way. What if there's a better way to do it? Yeah. And there's a certain part of tradition that I like, certain family traditions and stuff, but, there's the 21st century of tractors and different stuff, like, they don't have to be out there in the fields with the horses and the tractors across the fence. I remember just, like, being over there for 3 days or 2 days trying to plow 1 acre. And then the tractor across the fence comes in and does a 40-acre plot of land in a half a day. And you're just over there, you're like, oh, I want to just flip him off over there. So mad. Over there trying to plow 1 acre.
That's crazy. Did you share that story? Because I was at a customer's house yesterday, and he was telling me why I left. And I said, I share pretty much the exact same story. I said, that just make you mad, you know?
Right.
Like you're living in an age where we have equipment to do things faster.
Yeah.
And as a kid, it didn't make sense.
Right,
Why-
right. You're like, so for baling hay, and I know like more liberal communities are allowed to drive their balers through the field, but we weren't. We had to like load the hay onto the wagon, and then once the barn was full with loose hay, then we had to start baling hay. Load it onto the wagon, drive it to the baler, and then fork it into the baler. It's just the stupidest thing ever. Like, why can't we take the horses and drive right up and down this road? Well, because it's true. Our grandparents didn't do it. Yeah, but I don't care about that. What's wrong with it? Well, the only thing wrong with it is our grandparents didn't do it. So, I remember my dad, once I had left my twin brother, he would just kind of, maybe go to the neighbors or go to town when there's hay to bale. So my twin brother would go bale the hay, and then the church comes after him. He's like, well, you know, I had to go run errands and I come back and there's a bunch of hay bales in the field. So Dad was a pretty loose guy. He wasn't as strict as like my mom, but
yeah, we did
a lot of rules.
We did that one time. Dad was pretty upset at us for doing that. We got so sick and tired because it's not just going and loading hay. Like you have an old I don't know, it's a hay loader.
Yeah,
it's a hay loader that's pulls behind the wagon and it picks up the hay and it brings it up to the wagon.
Standing down on the wagon, it's coming in here, all that stuff going down your shirt, you're sweating.
Oh, that's a nasty hot mess is what it is.
Yeah.
And then you get to haul it to the barn and unload it and
go up in the barn. That's even hotter.
Yeah.
And the thing brings it up, dumps it, then it's packed in there. You gotta spread it out through the.
What if we like maybe we should have like an Amish farming day for all these people listening.
Yeah.
We could demonstrate.
I've taken a couple families out to the Amish that have reached out to me or reached out to me on TikTok and take them out there. There's a couple families that are okay with it, so I wouldn't just go out there to like the preacher's house or something.
Yeah,
that wouldn't go down very well. But there's a couple families that are a little more loose, and so. You know, it's fun for them, like, they'll like, what's this? Oh, this is a lawnmower. We have to push this thing through the yard.
You talk about... go ahead.
No, you
I was going to say, talk about teaching your kids to be more resilient and stand up for what's right. And so I bought my kids one of those lawnmowers.
Oh, no.
They mow the lawn like that.
The whole thing? Do you have a big lawn?
That's decent size. They love it, actually. Actually, they volunteered to do it. I didn't even.
Did you put like a twine on the front to pull it, or they?
No, they're strong enough to. Trace is behind the cameras today, running the cameras again. But
I didn't think he looked like he's big enough to push the thing. Because when we were his age, we had like we put a twine on the front and then pull, and the other one would push.
Yeah.
But,
no, he can push it by himself. His little brother pushes it. You mess with him, you'll find out how strong he really is.
Yeah.
He's pretty strong.
He doesn't get bullied.
No, he does not get bullied.
That's
not
good.
at all. No. And that, I guess that's the piece, like if a kid is scrawny, because I was scrawny, little, and got bullied within the community. But if I'm teaching my son, which he's smaller than most kids, and so for his age, if I'm teaching him, okay, you're going to do jiu-jitsu, I'm going to wrestle with you, and you're going to learn how to defend yourself. You're going to learn how to fight. You're going to learn how to, like, fight in a good way, defending yourself, and you're going to learn how to make good decisions under pressure. So that's the way I choose to teach him, you know, in a healthy way, instead of just saying, like, you need to get bullied in order to, like, or saying, like, hey, I'm going to allow you to get bullied in order for you to receive.
Well, but if he has that, he won't get bullied. So, or he won't.
To your point, yes,
like they won't. They
won't come back.
I mean, they might try, but they're not going to come for the second round.
To your point, yeah, that is true. Like he'll understand how to defend himself, and most people will just leave him alone.
Yeah.
At that point, and that. I guess that's a great point, because within the Amish community, you don't get that. Like, your parents don't teach you how to defend yourself.
No, they always used to, turn the other cheek, which is, but when you're a little kid, like you want to defend yourself.
Yes.
And you're not going to just turn the other cheek. And then when you defend yourself, then some of the kids were really terrible, and I thought it was terrible at, like, you get into a fight and then they run in crying to their dad, and their dad comes to my dad and says, hey, your kid made my kid cry. Well, yeah, there was a reason, but they never talk about it. They're just, okay, now you're going to get a butt whooping because you made him cry. There was a reason behind it. He was doing something he shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
That's where, like, if your son gets bullied, where I feel, you got to talk about it, like, what happened?
Oh,
who started this
sure.
thing,
For sure.
Because if they started it, then, it's not your kid's fault. It's whoever started it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never encourage backing down if somebody's coming. I wouldn't encourage them to back down. And of course, you're always gonna try to not get into a fight. Like, that's the first objective.
Right.
It's to resolve it
without throwing a punch.
But if somebody throws a punch, you better be ready to throw one back.
Right. And in the Amish, that's what, when we were kids, it was not as much throwing punches as pulling hair, because we all have long hair. Just terrible. Out in the barnyard, and they're pulling each other's hair.
Oh, yeah, that was the worst.
You get a headache from it.
Some of those fights were really intense.
Yeah. And then there was like some Sundays where it was just, when church is relieved, but all the members have to stay in for their whatever they have to hash out. All the boys go outside, and there was some Sundays where it felt like everybody was somewhat united, and then there was just a couple of kids who you knew that didn't like each other, but there wasn't groups fighting. There was like everybody standing in a circle out on the couch, like on the drive, and two kids are just going at it until one of them wouldn't get up anymore, or gets up and says, you gotta say, like, I give up, and then you're lost. Or that's always how, and we wrestled a lot like that within our own family.
Yeah.
And when somebody says, I give up, because somebody's, you're like pinched to the ground, and you're, I give up, I gotta breathe. Then you're lost.
Yeah. So it's a form of Amish, jiu-jitsu tournament.
Yeah.
Wrestling tournament right there in church.
It's like a tiny little UFC event going on at church.
Amish had UFC before UFC was popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's so many. That's why I love having these conversations, because I want my kids to know the way that I grew up, and there's so many of the little details that I just, like, forgot about, until we have these conversations. It brings me right back to when I was a kid. So the thing that you talked about, wrestling, there is a lot of wrestling within the Amish community.
Yeah.
From a little kid all the way up.
Yeah, and if somebody, that's, like at church, if somebody picked someone that wasn't their own way, everybody piled on him, like, go pick somebody your own way,
Yeah. No, that's good. So, you guys were bigger, stronger boys within the Amish community than the average, right?
I don't know that we're, me and my twin brother were probably, like when we're going to school, we're pretty much average so there was 6 boys in our grade, which was kind of unheard. Like, usually there's 3 or 4 people in one grade, but there were 6 boys, and all of them were, I mean, it was a pretty, even matchup. Whether any one of those 6 boys started wrestling, it was a pretty even matchup. And,
gotcha.
I got into it. So Bat was one of them. Once we ended up both having to go inside. And we had to sit there until the teacher rang the bell. Okay. And then everybody comes inside, and then we go up and bend over the classroom. Yeah, bend over the classroom and then get a spanking. Just to humiliate you in front of the whole class.
Man, that was intense, huh?
Yeah,
do you feel like you deserve that?
Yeah, it was a really stupid fight. Like, we were just fighting over, I don't know what we were fighting over, but it was something really, stupid. I feel like, I know we were playing kick the can, and it was some kind of a disagreement with him thinking he had me out, and I'm thinking I kicked the can first. And we started pulling hair, and it went on and on and on, and finally the other kids are kind of coming together to watch this. Then one of the little kids runs in and tells the teacher. So, cause we were right on the front, and there was an entryway on the front, so the teacher couldn't see out there.
Oh, okay.
But it was a big enough commotion where the teacher came out and told us to get our butt inside.
Wow. How old were you?
This was when I was in 7th grade.
I was
okay. 13 years old.
Yeah, so you were decent size, but then, huh? Yeah, that. I don't think we did a whole lot of wrestling. Not that I can remember anyway in school. Like we did a fair amount in church. I remember that. But at school, I don't think there was a ton. Cause all the kids there's only one kid, and he was a grade lower than me. Like I was kind of like the oldest boy for a long time in school. So, and I was scrawny.
Right.
Like I wasn't gonna be beating anybody.
Yeah, when we were like in 1st and 2nd grade, we watched our distance from like the 7th and 8th grade. There was quite a few boys in 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, I think my brothers were the only ones that were, would have been the older grades until I was maybe, I don't know when it was, 5th grade, 6th grade, something like that.
Yeah.
But
I had one of my sisters as a teacher as well.
Oh, okay.
So for my first 2 years, and so I feel like it was almost worse when it was one of my sisters, because you were always accused of being a teacher's pet as your sister. So we always felt like she was more strict on us. But then, we had, looking back, I wish there was more order in the schoolroom. Like when us boys got into the upper grades, it was really bad. Like, we just kind of walked all over the teacher, didn't respect her, and like jumping out the windows during, in the spring and fall, during time of school, and the teachers just kind of completely lost control.
Yeah.
Both of them were my first cousins as well. I remember one morning, it was so bad. We had 2 days that we weren't allowed recess or noon hour, so we called it Atningsengroskme. We had a whole big deal about it, and we were just vicious to the teacher.
Man.
And it started out really bad. So one of the kids was asked to go back and stand in the corner, and we had to do that quite a bit. And that meant like you walk into the corner, but she backed into the corner. And so the teacher's like, no, you know what to do. Go stand in the corner. She goes, not doing that. That's smelling the corner. And so the teacher goes back and was going to discipline her and make her stand in the corner. And she had the leather strap and she swung, and student grabbed the strap, started abusing it on her. Then she goes back up in front of the classroom and she starts crying, and the whole classroom just, you could hear a pin drop. It was like, okay, we'll behave now. But it was just no order. Wow. And like, a lot of it was myself or the boys in our grade as well.
Yeah.
And we were not part of the solution.
So what do you think caused that for you if you look back on that time of being just rebellious? Do you think it was because of things that were going on at home, or like you just didn't like following the rules, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like following the rules. I part of it too was like we could well, one of the teachers it wasn't as bad. I mean, she completely lost control of the classroom, but it was always more in a fun way. Like we would just kind of bum around and go up there reading and really mispronounce a word on purpose to make it sound like something, and the whole classroom just starts laughing, and then the teacher starts laughing. So it's just a disorganized thing. But the other one, I think it's probably, I don't know. I don't know why I was like I don't know. It always just felt like we were trying to one up whatever the kid before us did. So we gotta be a little bit more crazy than the next one,
Yeah. Once I looking back at my childhood, and even talking to like people that grew up in the, that would have been, their parents would have been from the 50s, I guess, 40s and 50s, and they would have been kids in the 80s and 90s. Those parents, like my dad and your dad, like that era, they didn't really, I mean, there's not a whole lot of talk about love.
Right. Yeah.
To your kids. Because it's like, don't show feelings, don't show any kind of emotion.
Yeah.
Be a hard man.
Yeah. But no, I do think some of that is, you'll probably disagree with me here, but I do think some of that, like, is lost, where, like, I still don't, and me and my wife joke around about it, but, when we first got married, I come home and she's like, so how was your day? We talk about it, and then, like, how are you feeling? Oh, I hate that question. I mean, we laugh about it now, but at first I'm like, oh, you want me to tell you how I'm feeling? Especially, like, if you get in a disagreement. Yeah. You want me to tell you how I'm feeling? Well, you never show any emotion. Do you really want to see my emotion? Because I think men have pretty intense emotion. Or some I have.
Yeah.
And you don't want to see it when it's at its worst, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I do think like some of that is good. Like, you don't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you don't like. I don't want to come home and like, how are you feeling? I don't know. I'm doing great. You know, I've never gotten that thing, and maybe it's. I'm sure a lot of people would say I haven't matured, because people that are mature are in touch with their feelings. I mean, I feel like I am in touch with my feelings, but I'm not. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm not like. If you ask me, how are you feeling? How do you feel about that? I don't think that way. Like,
Yeah.
How did I feel about that? I mean, maybe I'll think that way to myself, but I won't like, oh, I felt so. I'll tell you what I thought about it.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time like, interpreting like how I felt about it. You know?
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong about a man not being like feely. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right,
like,
but what you're saying is like simple things like telling your kids you love them.
Yeah.
Like my mom would say, "Das geckisch," you know, "Das kindisch." Doesn't that kindisch on you know?
But you know what's crazy is they go into the fact that there's way more unhealthy things that come out of that than there are what she's trying to describe, right?
Right.
She's trying to describe that it's not, that's like a thing that we just don't do. Like, that's wrong, so to speak. And there's way more wrong that comes out of not actually addressing that thing than it is to try to gloss it over.
So they try to gloss over so much.
Yeah.
With everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think like I want my kids to know the good and the bad.
Yes.
So that at least they heard it from me first. Like I don't want them to, you know, hear it from somebody else, right? Like I think that's you know, why people leave. They wanna like everything is glossed over and they're so curious about it, so you break away and leave.
Yes.
If you know about it, like if my parents would have told me, you can leave, we don't care, then I would have really been like, I don't want to disrespect my parents.
Yes.
But because they're so hardlining, like, especially my mother, this is the line, and so then I really don't care anymore, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't. Versus if there would have been some room there, I would have been like, I don't want to hurt my parents, which I still don't want to hurt my parents, and that's one of the more difficult things about leaving. But I feel like once you're like, you have so much resentment for all that, like all the things they keep from you. Yeah. It's like, who cares? I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Yep. Yeah, and you almost have to find. That's why I've talked about this before. You almost have to find healing for yourself before you go back into that environment to be able to actually make a difference in that environment. So you get to a place where enough is enough. I get to live my life.
Right.
The way that I choose to live it. And then you get to a place where you feel like you can heal from some of the things that have happened in the past that you are resentful about, or that I'm resentful about. Yeah. Then you can go back in that environment to hopefully shed some light on some things that are not healthy.
I think it's tricky to go back in that environment, and I did this for the longest time. Go back there as I'm defending myself for my decision and make arguments about why I left and why it's okay to leave. And the last many times that I went out and see my mom, I never bring anything like that out. If she brings it up, I just I find a way to get away
Uh-huh.
from it.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's like, I want to have a relationship with my mom.
Uh-huh.
And me just trying to force my belief or defend myself, it just creates weird tension that
Yeah.
I don't like. And I would rather have a relationship with my mom than, trying to prove a point and just for the longest time, every time I would go out there, I wouldn't be out there for more than 10 minutes. And she always kind of started it, but I would really feel the need to defend myself and tell her why I made the decision I did and why it's not wrong. And
yeah, I think that's a respectful. That just shows maturity on your level. A respectful thing to do.
Because the other thing too is if you think about it, she's now in her late 60s. This is all she's ever known. How am I to expect her to know any different? Like, she's believed and trusted these preachers all her years that they are leading the right way, and for her chance to possibly get to heaven is to follow the leaders at a church. That's a difficult thing to, and you don't undo that with going in there and telling her that it's not right. Like, it doesn't work that way, I don't think.
Yeah. I agree. I think you're wasting your breath and time if you take that approach, because it's, at the end of the day, their belief is just as strong. Well, maybe not just as strong, but it's pretty strong in why they believe that way. And the only way that you can have any chance of making a difference, and this is where I said go back into that environment, is come back into that environment with maturity and being able to take the heat from these conversations and suppress it in a way, or turn it away, like you were saying, like find out a way to handle it and not come back with, well, I got to defend myself here. Like, I'm gonna...
Like your mom says, I can't believe you did that to us, and how would you feel if your kids would leave you? And you just kind of say, look, Mom, I would be very sad as well. I don't want my kids to leave. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like we could still have a good relationship. Because I don't feel like I left. I want to come back and see you. Now, you got to be careful there, too, because they think you did leave them. And obviously, like, you physically left the farm, but you don't intend to, like, leave your parents and not talk to them again. Like, you want to talk to them again. It's just, in some cases, not suitable, I guess.
Yeah, because that relationship, I mean, it feels like they don't have your best interests at heart, even though they do. I mean...
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing, like, they fully believe that in order for you to have a chance to go to heaven and be saved, you have to come back to the Amish. So, of course, they're going to be strong and telling you or trying to scare you into coming back to the Amish.
Yeah, I guess you could compare it to very similar beliefs in the outside world to, like, someone that's a Satanist and doesn't believe there's a God, and he teaches his son that there's no God. I mean, that person may believe that. Is that right to teach it to their children? I mean, my belief is, like, every person has their own, like, I want my kids to be able to choose for themselves. I'm going to teach them what I believe is right, but they get to choose for themselves. And if it's the truth, if I'm teaching them the truth, the ultimate truth, then it shouldn't break away. Right.
But if it were, you wouldn't like, cut them off or
No,
leave them,
no,
because
no.
that doesn't advance anything. That just drives them further east when you're going west.
Yeah.
Or that's how I felt with my parents.
Yeah.
Like, whenever it's a disagreement, like, it's just, one of the first times I went out there, my mom gave me an alarm clock.
Okay.
Brand new alarm clock. And she said, I said, oh, Mom, what's this? She said, I just want to give you this alarm clock in hopes that you wake up and realize where you're at and that you still have a chance to come back before something bad will happen. You know,
Wow.
or not will happen, but could happen, and you could be gone. You know, she always kind of used death as a more, like, when we're still Amish, like, end of the world type of stuff and that worked for a long, like, that terrified me at that time, but it did draw me closer. It's like, oh, it's still this? I was gone for, you know, I think a year and a half at that point, and I was just kind of getting over, like, I used to have trouble going to sleep at night, because my mom really had, like, the end of the world comes in the middle of the night, and, you know, we want to be following the rules so that when it comes, we're in good standing, basically.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'd lay there, and she also really, I think all Amish, they're really against the military. Yeah. And whenever, like, when she would talk about it, when there's a plane in the sky, we said, you know, the military's up there, kind of a thing. And so we wake up, oh, there's a plane up there, what if they crash down and it's the end of the world? Like, I mean, that stuff I was still thinking at 17 when I left. So, yeah.
So you left when you were 17?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew my dad wouldn't, or I was pretty sure my dad wouldn't want to report me because I left a letter saying that I left, so they don't like to use the law, and I was pretty sure I'll be just fine. I wanted to wait until I was 18 because obviously you can't get a driver's license till you're 18 because your parents aren't going to sign. Yeah. But I got a hunch that I just felt like my twin brother, just from, you know, we're very close, but I wouldn't tell him that I'm thinking of leaving. He wouldn't tell me. I just felt like he's thinking of leaving one of these nights, and that complicates things so much for you to leave if somebody else leaves in front of you. Yeah. Like, 'cause it's really rough at first, and then the wound kind of starts to heal. And selfishly, I wanted out of there first.
So you left?
So I left in the middle of the winter. It was so cold out.
Wow. What was that like? Leaving? Like, what was, take me through the steps of you actually leaving that. Do you remember the date, the time? Yeah, I remember it was January. I had kind of planned on leaving January 1st, and then I was so sick, because I was thinking at, like, last week of December, I was thinking, well, I'm gonna start this new year out, not be an Amish anymore, and I was gonna leave on the 1st. I was so sick, it was a cold. I knew my mom would really worry if I would leave, like, run away when I'm sick like that. And I didn't want to either, because you run away, you don't have any, like, they have a lot of good remedies to use to get better. Yeah. So I wanted to get better first, so I waited till January 8th. It was so cold out. But I didn't want to go out the window, because when you jump the window, you can't close it again. And I had 2 siblings up there sleeping as well, so I didn't want to, you know, the upstairs is going to get extremely cold really quick. Yeah. So I just took my shoes off and tiptoed downstairs. I didn't even really have to be quiet, because we had to go out that door anyways to use the bathroom. My mom will think I'm using the bathroom.
but I had my shoes with me. So stepped outside, I jumped in my shoes, and away I went. I just ran down the road. The funny thing was our German Shepherd dogs were standing outside, and they never stood outside. But the whole day, I planned like the day before I left that, the 2 days before I left, that day I was going to leave, and I talked with somebody that was going to pick me up. And like the whole next day, the German Shepherd dogs are following me around. I was really close to them. Like we got them when I was a little kid, trained them. And so they're getting pretty old, but they're smart.
Yeah.
The whole day they're like following me around, making a sad sound, like a crying sound.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, do they realize that, like, I didn't know, but they always slept in the barn. And I get downstairs, step outside, they're both standing out there waiting. Like,
Man.
Oh, crap. So I pet them a little bit, I tell them to go to the barn, and I took off running. Of course they didn't, they ran over to my parents' bedroom window, and they barked a couple of times, but I was already running down the road. I just kept running. Because I was afraid, like, my mom will know that the dog is over here barking.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if she got up right away or not, but.
Did you ever talk to your mom about that night?
No.
Never?
It's such a, it's such a painful time. It's painful for you as well.
Yeah,
like, you don't want to leave like that. Yeah. Like, the best thing would be to talk to them, but in our situation, we couldn't. So like, for me and my siblings.
So let's say, Eddie, there's a kid listening right now that's wanting to leave, and he's listening to us talk about this. Like, what would your recommendations be now that you're if I would leave again, I would wait until I'm 18, and I would talk to my parents about it. Because back then, but then again, if you're 18, you're a lot younger. Like, those conversations scare you. Like, trying to talk to them, the stuff they will tell you at that time would have scared me like crazy. Yeah.
And because once you're 18, I don't think my parents would have like physically kept me there, but it would have not been a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
To try and talk to them and then walk away from them.
Yeah.
That would have been really difficult. But if I would have in a perfect world, I would talk to them and then leave. But no matter how much you try to explain, it's not their fault. They're always going to say, oh, we failed as parents. Yeah. And that's like really difficult to hear.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I loved my parents. It wasn't because of them. I mean, sure, I didn't like the rules or anything, but they put a roof over my head. They fed me all these years, you know.
Yeah.
And I know, like, people out here think it's almost like slave labor. Oh, you were working, bringing home a paycheck for your dad. I would have left too. Well, that's not really the point. Like, in the Amish, the whole family runs as a unit. So that money comes in, and, like, you never buy... Excuse me.
Yeah.
You never buy, like, shoes or clothes or anything like that. That's all bought. I mean, they make the clothes, but that's made by your mother. Dad buys the cloths and stuff. Yeah. So it's like, I never seen it as, yes, I wanted to start my own life and have my own money, but I never felt bad for bringing a paycheck home to Dad.
Yeah.
'Cause that's just one of the, no, it would have been nice to have like an allowance, but, you know, you understand like the situation you grow up in, and that's, you know, how they do stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole family works as a unit. Your food is always there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think it's,
the reason I bring it up is I've had a lot of people comment, like on TikTok, saying that's abuse and all that kind of stuff. I don't see it that way. I think it's just something that we did.
Yeah.
And I remember I was proud to bring a paycheck home to the family. Like,
yeah,
it felt
absolutely.
so good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm contributing to this thing, you know?
Well, and that's what I was going to point out, is it is a pride thing. If you're a young man, you're 14 years old and you get a full-time job, that is the best feeling that you
right.
can. I mean, you can...
Like, you have such a feeling of satisfaction.
Yes.
Like, hey, I worked for 2 weeks, they gave me a paycheck. Yep. Here, now let's go and buy Cheerios instead of cornflakes, right?
And I know so many young men that are not satisfied with the latest video game, but they don't know how to flip and work.
Right.
Seriously, like
right.
that art is lost in society of like, hey, I am a proud contributor to my family because I have a job or I'm doing something to help, with
right.
the family.
Or I feel like, I'm sure you got this as well, like with your line of work, like you get a great feeling of satisfaction when you finish a project. Like
absolutely.
it is the best feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of that is probably lost that we see out here. Like, people, I used to have, quite a bit more employees. That's rough. When you try to hire, like non-ex-Amish people.
Yeah.
It can be difficult. Now, there's some really good ones as well. But, I mean, some of the stuff that, I dealt with a couple times, I couldn't believe. Like, people show up for one day and another day until noon, and then they don't show up and you can't get a hold of them. Like, what irresponsible. So we did all this stuff to enroll you and get you set up, to pay, or like payroll, and then they just don't show up on the second half of the day. But a couple days later, you get a text, when am I going to get my paycheck? I mean, of course you have to pay them, but still, it's so weird.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's like they're only there for a paycheck, which you gotta have a paycheck, but if you don't get any satisfaction out of, like, doing something and then standing back, looking at it, and, like, this is nice work.
Yeah.
I did a good thing today.
Yeah.
Then it's going to feel probably like a dead-end road that you're on.
Yeah. Yeah, and people that come to work just for a paycheck too. I think there's a lot of people that do that. Just there's not pride behind the work.
And then it makes the work seem so much longer. Like it makes the days seem longer.
Yeah. I think the Amish put a lot of pride into their work. Right. And we're taught that as kids growing up. I mean, it's just ingrained in you from a very young age. Like, that you're proud about your work. I mean, anything that we do, like... You get
a good feeling when you're done.
Yeah, it's a feeling of satisfaction.
They have... Like, on Saturdays, we always kind of had cleaning. You clean the barn. Like, it's a good feeling to have a clean barn, and then we get to sleep in a little bit on Sunday morning.
Well, and the people that are yelling out that it's child abuse, what about all the mental child abuse that's going on in society nowadays? Like, physically, you may look at that and say, man, that child has it rough. But those kids, like, I mean, you run a successful company. You're 27 years old. You have a roofing company that's doing extremely well. Yeah, like you have no issues functioning and making a good living in society, right?
Right, and it's not like I'm some person that is really good at business. I wouldn't say I'm not. I'm good at my craft.
I would push back on that.
Well, I would say I'm good at my craft. So that like. I always wish I would market more, and I had to get on my website person to drop what they were doing, and just do the bare minimum because it's just so much work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, like, I would say I'm not a great, business person to where I can scale. Now, I've never had, like, debts and stuff like that. A lot of people, when they think of a great business person, is somebody who can manage debt and all those things. I've never had that. I just work off of cash. If I don't have cash to buy it, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
And, like, I never, so you gotta have some cushion also if you have employees, because sometimes your bigger jobs, it takes a while to get paid.
Yeah.
And I know, like, even a lady at the bank said, well, you could easily get a line of credit. Like, I'm so uncomfortable with that because I don't like that pressure or that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I wouldn't say I'm dumb, but I don't feel like I'm smart enough to, like, manage a bunch of debt and all that stuff.
I'd say that puts you in the top 1% of people that are smart in business. The dumb ones go out and get a bunch of debt.
Yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Like,
there's a lot of smart.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart people that use debt to grow, etc.
Yeah.
I've just always been, I don't know. I'm just happy with what I have.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to, like, grow huge, and, you know, the way I'm set up right now, everything runs really efficiently, and I just like it.
Yeah. Well, and that leads me into, so you started getting on social media. Did you start right away when you left? So you're 27, so that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years in January. No, I didn't get on. Well, I mean, I had social media, but I didn't, like, use it until the last couple of years. Really.
Okay.
I had it and would consume it. It would consume my time, but I wasn't putting anything on it, really.
So what caused you to go get on social media and start posting videos?
Yeah,
Did somebody challenge you to do that?
Not really. A friend of mine, we just leased a new shop, the shop that we had before the one we have now, and we were going over there, moving stuff over there, and there was an Amish hat laying in the truck or something.
Uh-huh.
So I put it on, and then he told me to download TikTok, or else he used my phone and downloaded TikTok, however it happened. But yeah, I started kind of using it, and I was like, oh, this is, first of all, it was super easy to use.
Uh-huh.
The app is easy to use, so yeah, that's when I made my first time I made a video, I think, that I put on TikTok. And so then after that, you know, every couple days or every week I post a couple videos.
Wow. So do you think, what's your idea? Cause I thought you had 1 million followers on TikTok, but you have you have over 1 million likes though, from people like liking your videos, and you have multiple videos that are over 1 million views.
Yeah.
And you have like several 100,000 followers. On TikTok?
A couple 100,000 followers. Yeah. I don't know. What's your question? Like,
so my question was, like, you have an audience of that size, and you just kind of built it organically from the sounds of it, just posting videos.
Yeah, I just use it for fun. I love to interact with the audience.
Yeah.
And so obviously a lot of ex-Amish people watch it as well, so, and I make videos, like, from my community, so a lot, like, sometimes it offends people, which is interesting, which I understand, like, why people, cause it hits some buttons sometimes. But yeah, I just use it for fun. Probably not half of my audience is Amish, but a lot of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are Amish.
So,
like when you see comments, there's a lot of comments where it's just user and numbers. Those are usually Amish.
They don't know how to set up their account.
No, they do, but they don't want to use their name.
Oh, gotcha. So what made you decide to get on to, like, cause you got on YouTube as well now.
Yeah, I post, shorts there. I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun. I never really had a goal with it. I still don't really have a goal with it. If I feel like, making some videos, I'll make some videos. If I don't feel like it, I don't. It's not like I have a schedule or anything like that. I just do it whenever I feel like it, or if I have time. If I don't have time, I don't do it. So it's not like a structured thing by any means.
Gotcha.
Just something I have fun with.
So you use your roofing company as a primary source of income.
Yeah. I've never made any money off of like doing TikToks. I've made money off of like other stuff that never like brand deals or anything like that. I've made money off of well, I'm doing I wrote a book with a couple from Ohio.
Okay.
So
no kidding.
Me and them did it together, right? Okay. So it's kind of a book. It has a lot of Amish remedies in it. And then also a lot of, what would you call it? Like, kind of lifestyle stuff or off-grid kind of living. Cause the Amish kind of do live off-grid, or where I come from when I was growing up.
They definitely live off-grid.
They live off-grid. So it's, stuff like that.
Huh.
So.
That's cool.
Yeah, so, but they're a big, like publishing company.
Okay.
They're out of Romania, so.
Gotcha. So that's the project you're working on right now?
Yeah, we gotta go, going to Romania in July, the first week in July. Gotcha. So we gotta do a bunch of, filming. So essentially they, hired me as the spokesperson for the book, so they'll use it to promote it, etc. So, like, I've done stuff like that, but I've never, like, monetized, views or anything like that, or...
Why not? Just curious.
I don't know. I never took the time to do it. I watched a couple videos on how, people do it. And I always just thought I'm not gonna spend all that time to set everything up to make a few dollars.
Yeah.
I never started it to try and make money off of it either.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you kind of have it's an outlet for you to have an audience and to have fun.
That's pretty much what it is.
And that's why I started this. I mean, hopefully, like, my goal long term with this, with the podcast would be like, hopefully someday I can do it just like full time. You know, I do roofing as well. We're in the same industry, and then I do this to make a difference. That's my goal.
You're in Texas. This is a whole different ballgame to do roofing down here. I don't think I could do it.
It's fun. It's a challenge.
It's so competitive. It's driving over here. Half the billboards are.
Oh, dude! You talk about.
Like,
one great, you bring up a great point. So I have been thinking about this for a while, and the first year I was down here, I've even told a few people this, but I said, when it hails in Texas, it looks like you're going to an Amish machinery sale because there are so many roofers out. It is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I've never understood that. I knocked doors when in the very beginning. The first summer I wasn't that busy, so I would go, but I would go like to businesses like your typical general contractors or realtors or offices like that. But if there's a no soliciting sign on the door, I didn't solicit them.
Gotcha.
Like, there's all these people out there who are, oh, there's a no soliciting sign. Are we going to be scared? No, we're going to go in there and sell them. I hate that approach. I don't like a salesman coming to my door.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go to anybody's personal door. I just never liked that idea.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think if you do good work, you can get a lot of projects.
So true. True.
That you don't have to go and like catch somebody who has no idea, because a lot of these like storm chasers go and pretty much almost like con the customer into signing essentially a contract that only allows them, like if insurance approves, they can only hire them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit of manipulative the way they get the contract signed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of times, but.
Yeah, we do, and I'm completely transparent with the customer. So there's both sides to that. If you're a storm chaser, that's one thing, because you're more than likely just passing through the area because you're a storm chaser. And I don't promote those guys at all, because they're never around when the customer actually needs them.
Right.
And then there's the other side where, like, I do a lot of insurance work, and so there's a fair amount of customers that just use the contractor to get the insurance side of things done.
Right.
And then they ditch you and they
go
whatever route they want to go. So, and that side, I have them sign it's like it's not an official contract. And honestly, I'm upfront with them. I'm saying this is just a piece of paper saying that we both agree on the same thing. And that's the fact that if I help you with your insurance, you hire me to do your roof.
Right. So So I told you the next week we're doing about 500 squares of shingles. That's all insurance work.
Oh, okay.
But it's a customer we've had for a long time, so it's not like we have to go earn that business. They have a lot of property around the area there. But I do agree. Like if I come out to a house and they are just an estimate, but I know it's insurance work.
Yeah.
Like, so you're gonna do the part of the insurance and you're just fishing. Essentially it's insurance fraud. They are going to get
100% insurance fraud.
Chew somebody way down on the roof and then get the cheapest and get insurance to pay the whole thing. That's not how. It's the same way like if you go out and tell a customer, hey, I'll waive the deductible. That's insurance fraud.
Yeah, it is insurance fraud. And people don't like to hear that.
Right, because the customer, it would be nice for the customer. Oh, I don't have to pay any money. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And that's I think, like you had touched on it a little bit earlier. If you do good work, you don't have to worry about like gaining new customers, because if you do good work and you're in a specific market, and that's what I found here in Texas. Like I took a different approach. So I got sick and tired of the door knockers, and actually when we moved here, I got trained by a company to door knock. And I just thought there was something wrong with me that I'm not comfortable with this. And then it hit me one day that the homeowner's not okay with this. I don't feel very good about doing this. Like, who's winning in this situation?
Yeah,
like,
it's nobody. And you come out to a customer's house and they're, like, I've come to customers' houses where, they are like, thanks for coming out. And you're nice to them, you help them out.
Yeah.
And they're like, we had, and they're very hesitant to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find out they had 4 people banging down their door trying to get them to sign a contract. Oh, well, they don't trust them. First of all, they haven't heard of them. Like, the customer wants to do stuff on their terms. Like, when they're ready.
Yeah.
And who they trust. Because if somebody just shows up, it's not like it's buying a $20 knife set. It's a sizable amount of money in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And it's a roof. If it's not done right and it leaks, and then it was a storm chaser, you can't get a hold of it. It's a mess.
It is a mess. And plus you're giving, there's money exchange for, there's so much fraud here in Texas that if a customer is hesitant about me being, and I don't get this a whole lot anymore because I've built a good reputation and we have a good presence online. So it's like, but if I ever get the sense that a customer is not comfortable with giving me money, I just tell them, like, look, you hold the money until there's material sitting in your driveway, and then you give me a check. If there's any hesitation at all, I said that's actually what you should do with all contractors, because
I've never seen, and I've been too nice in that way. Like, I've never taken a down payment, so I want to do the job, and then, do you like it? Yes, like it. Okay, now I want to get paid. And then, of course, you run into a few of the people that don't want to pay just because they want to mess around and drag things out or whatever. But, like, if I don't know. I just always felt better like that, because there's also a lot of, because it's not $400 or $500 projects. They're bigger projects. So, and going back to, I'm not very business smart. I don't want to be robbing Peter to pay Paul, taking down payments to pay bills. So if I don't ever take a down payment, I know my books are all good, because if there's no, if the money is low, then look at the receivables. Okay, there's a lot of receivables there. Because if you take down payments, then you gotta also keep track of how many down payments you have. Because that money isn't really your money. That is the customer's money. Because they could, what if they change their mind? What if something goes sideways for them and they wanna back out, which if you have a contract, it's usually doesn't happen, but still, it's not really your money. Anything can happen between now and the time the job gets done. So if it doesn't get done, you don't want to be, there's so much fraud. And that's why I think people have such a hard time trusting, specifically roofing contractors a lot of times, is these people are coming out there getting a down payment and they're paying some other bill with it. No, that's not what that down payment is for.
That's so true. There's so much of that goes on, and then the company goes out of business, and the customer's left there without a roof, or whatever the case may be.
That's happened a lot. A lot of times they file for bankruptcy, and then how does now they got to deal with whatever's left over. That's just a mess. That's why I think it's important. Have you heard of, there's this program, Roofing Insights, and the Directory? Have you heard of that program? I've heard of it, Okay. I'm not a part of it. But it's essentially in our backyard. Out there in Minneapolis.
So I'm a part of it just because I like to give the customers a peace of mind. Give them the peace of mind that, hey, if you still, after the conversations that we've had and everything that I've talked to you about, if you still, need another peace of mind, like that's another way of just showing them that because through that directory you have to get a background check, you have to be...
you have a $20,000 guarantee. Which is... at first I was kind of hesitant as to, what's different between that and a manufacturer's warranty. There's actually a huge difference. Like a manufacturer's warranty is, you might as well not have a warranty. I mean, it's just so difficult to, I had only ever had one time where there was some different color shingles. and I called the rep out. Like, it was pretty plain in the roof, but I let it go because it wasn't like it was a association. So they never said anything, but I noticed it every time I drive down the road. So, but yeah, they'll blend in the next couple of years and whatever.
Sure. Here in Texas, the roof only lasts about a couple of years.
So hot it crumbles away.
Well,
or
no,
hail.
It's just hail. Yeah, hailstorm or hail. Yeah,
isn't that like crazy for homeowners insurance then?
It is getting pretty wild. Like we have companies that are opting out of like covering Texas at all. So our insurance is and it's actually, I don't know if you followed some of the stories, but Florida is becoming a real issue.
Yeah, a big part of it is contractors going in and I believe going in and trying to approve. A lot of times, sometimes people try and approve stuff that is not insurance damage.
I see
and that
all
happens
the time.
A lot in Florida.
Yeah, it happens here too, a lot. Just like, and that's why, like when I get on a roof, I'll inspect the roof and I'll take pictures and I'll tell the homeowner, like, just wait until the next hailstorm. Because, yeah, you might have some damage, but it's not really enough to, like, hey, let's go. Yeah, let's go.
Going through a claim and then your insurance premium's going to go up. And then if you're in Texas, there's another hailstorm coming in 2 years.
Save it for a real one because there's plenty of real ones. And I know companies that train. There's so much bad sales training, but I know companies that train on, hey, when you get on a roof or you go talk to a homeowner, you tell every single one of them they have hail damage, and you tell every single one of them to file, and then they have a process on the back end to try to get that roof approved by the time that adjuster, like, you know, they do the Xactimate report and everything, and they try to get pretty much set this thing up that it has a higher chance of getting approved, even though it doesn't have hail damage. Like, that sounds so shady to me.
It is, and it's driving up insurance premiums, I think, to kind of outrageous. Even up in Minnesota, it's getting difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a legit claim, you know, it's a legit claim. If it's not, it's not. But man, today's conversation has been great. We're at an hour and 40 minutes. So,
I was looking at the clock.
So, I think we should better wrap it up. Unless you have something else that you wanted to share, because, I mean, I guess the project that you're working on, the book, is coming out when, do you think?
We don't have a release date.
Okay.
Yet, so I'm not sure.
Sometime this year, maybe?
Yeah, sometime this fall.
Okay. Alright, so be on the lookout for that if you're interested on how to live off grid and make all those good peanut butter pies or whatever else.
Go out to the toilet in the cold winter, going to the outhouse and everything.
Yeah.
No, that's not. It's more about like health and how to like sustain. Kind of sustain without all the modern conveniences. Because the other thing too is, like, what if something happens? Like, what if something would happen that we don't have all the modern conveniences? Everybody I know always says, "Oh, we'd still be fine," because we grew up Amish. We know, like, we could live in the woods, right? We could figure out how to survive. Because we didn't have those conveniences growing up. I'm not sure that we'd be able to survive if we're the only ones that know how to survive. Because there's a lot of other desperate people that would be trying to figure out how to survive. Which, I mean, we hope nothing like that happens, but
it's good to be prepared.
Yeah.
It's great to be prepared.
It is.
And plus, I feel like it's an interesting read. That'd be an interesting read to read through.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can be it can be, like, I still don't, like, I get sick, like I have a slight cold from time to time, but I can't remember the last time I, like, wouldn't go to work because I was sick.
Gotcha.
I think a lot of that comes from the Amish. Yeah, we had days where we didn't feel good, but you have a lot of remedies that you do at night, and the next morning you feel better.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a lot of, I feel like more healthy stuff than just using, taking a bunch of ibuprofen or, because, like, we've traveled to a bunch of other countries, and it is crazy. Like, you don't go to another country and go and buy ibuprofen over the counter. They don't know. That's something you have to go get prescribed for. It's like here in the United States, we kind of eat it like candy if we have a headache or we have any kind of, but they take it much more and like in other countries, I think it's only the United States and one other country that, like in other countries, if you turn on the TV, there's never any pharmaceutical advertisements ever.
Wow.
Like they don't allow it on the TV. I mean, here it's a lot of this stuff is advertised as like, it's a cure for something, but then not the back end. It's all the side effects. Like,
but it will ultimately kill you. So.
Yeah. Be careful how much you take.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's
true.
Kind of what's going on. So yeah,
that's good.
Hopefully we get it released this fall sometime. So
yeah, and hopefully we can collaborate in the fall or around that time. That'd be great.
Yeah, and, maybe the winter when it's cold up north.
Yeah, you come down.
Even though I like the cold, I do like the cold.
Come down here and chill out for a while.
Yeah.
Come down here and help me sell some roofs.
In the winter time.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming on. Seriously, and if you care to, go ahead and check out Eddie's pages, and like I said, he's on TikTok, Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
Facebook, YouTube, and he's got some funny videos out for sure.
On all the worldly platforms.
Definitely not approved by the Amish preacher.
If I would tell my mom that I have TikTok, she would probably say, "Oh, I'm so glad you got a clock again."
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's about a wrap for this episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for liking and subscribing to the channel, and please share it with your friends, and leave any comments, even the nasty ones, for Eddie. We'll read them and respond. We appreciate you guys. See you in the next video.